Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm currently in the middle of batch cooking a load of food for the piggies, which can only mean one thing: we are off on a trip. Now, I mentioned in my last video that we couldn't decide whether to go to London or somewhere in Italy for New Year's Eve, and I'm happy to say that I won the coin toss, and so tomorrow morning we're catching an early train from Pescara to Venice, and I cannot wait to ring in the new year with you all. I've been to Venice a number of times before, but my boyfriend hasn't, so I'm looking forward to seeing all of the tourist hotspots through fresh eyes, and of course trying some Venetian cuisine. So let me get this finished, have an early night, and then we can set off on our adventure. The Frecciarossa is my favourite way to travel because it's super fast, it's clean, it's extremely comfortable, and you get free access to online books, podcasts, and even online courses. The journey was 4.5 hours in total, and we passed the time snoozing, reading books, and playing cards. We're just arriving into Bologna now, which is where we're changing train, but we do have a little bit of time, so I think we're going to stop and get some breakfast, and then it's another hour and a half from there to Venice.
We are now arriving on time in Venice Santa Lucia. Thank you for travelling with Trenitalia. We will be glad to see you again.
We arrived to a glorious day, so we decided to take the 20-minute walk to the hotel and take in some of the beautiful sights along the way. As always, we were a little bit peckish before lunch, so we decided to stop at this little baccaro and tried some of their nibbles, which were absolutely delicious. These were pumpkin mortadella and caramelized onion, and then we also shared this flatbread with mozzarella, truffle and prosciutto cotto. We decided to capitalise on the hottest part of the day and take a gondola ride along the Grand Canal. Each gondola is uniquely crafted and traditionally handmade using a specific set of materials, with 280 distinct parts. The gondola's asymmetrical shape is designed to allow a single gondolier to steer and balance the boat efficiently using only one oar. This curved iron part at the front of the gondola is not just for balance, it also represents the 6 districts or sestieri of Venice. We then headed to this famous bookshop to pick up a book I saw last time I was here for my dog, which for some reason I didn't buy. Unfortunately, it's been a victim of social media success and it was just so busy it didn't have the same wonderful atmosphere that it used to have. But it's still worth a visit to find a rare book, and of course they are stored in huge gondola, which is quite unique. And speaking of acqua alta, which means high water, we headed to St Mark's Square, which is gradually sinking by about 1 to 2 millimetres per year. I was once here during some heavy rainfall and it was phenomenal to see how quickly the square fills up and floods. As a music lover and musician myself, I was desperate to head to the famous theatre La Fenice. Unfortunately, the tickets for the concert that evening were all sold out, but we did manage to get a little tour of the beautiful building itself, and we saw some of the musicians practicing for the concert. The theatre has actually been rebuilt twice after devastating fires. The original theatre, which opened in 1792, was tragically destroyed by fire in 1836 and rebuilt in the same grand style. Then, in 1996, another fire completely gutted the building. Despite the extensive damage, the theatre was meticulously reconstructed and reopened in 2003, maintaining its historical and architectural grandeur. The name La Fenice, the phoenix, is symbolic of the theatre's ability to rise from the ashes, much like the mythical bird. Maria Callas is often closely associated to Teatro La Fenice because of her legendary performance of La Traviata in 1955, which is often considered one of the high points of her career. On the way back to the hotel for a little rest, we stopped in this lovely pasticceria where I tried my first ever punchetto. It's a Venetian dessert that somewhat resembles a rum truffle. In the evening, we decided to head to the slightly less touristy area of Cannaregio. As well as the Jewish ghetto, one of the oldest in Europe, and the beautiful church of Madonna dell'Orto, you'll also find some interesting independent boutiques here. All of the shop fronts here were so welcoming and cosy that they made me think of the Roald Dahl short story, The Landlady. Now, I won't give away any spoilers, but let me know in the comments if you know what I mean. Time for something sweet before heading back to the hotel for a good night's sleep before all of our adventures tomorrow. Good morning, it's another beautiful day today, so we thought we'd escape the crowds of Venice and head to the little island of Burano, which is this really colourful fishing village that I think is absolutely gorgeous. I actually have no idea if it will be any quieter than Venice, but today is obviously New Year's Eve, so I think the crowds will be arriving in their droves, so any chance we have of a slightly quieter spot will be worth it, I think. But first of all, let's go for some breakfast. Even though we acknowledge it's a tourist trap, we absolutely couldn't resist these stunning views from this little cafe. It was definitely worth paying the €11 for my waffles, and they were giving out cozy blankets to keep you warm as well. I always love heading out early in the morning because it's when you get to see real Venetians just going about their daily business. This is the Fondamente Nove water bus stop, which is where you have to go to catch the boat to Burano. I was fairly shocked to see that the prices have increased from €7.50 for a single journey to €9.50 in the space of a year, so it's definitely worth buying the day pass if you plan to do more than one trip. It's probably a little morbid to think about, but this cemetery is absolutely beautiful and I would love to be buried here someday. A lot of people seem to get off here, the stop before Burano, and walked across the bridge, which I think is a great idea because it looks like you get to take in some beautiful scenery. Burano is a picturesque island famous for its vibrant, multicoloured houses that create a stunning postcard-like town. The brightly coloured houses were traditionally painted this way to help fishermen identify their homes from a distance, especially in foggy or stormy weather. Over time, this practical purpose evolved into a beloved tradition, with residents continuing to paint their homes in vivid shades and putting Burano on the map as a tourist attraction away from the hustle and bustle of Venice. Burano is also famous for lace production. At its peak, Burano lace was exported worldwide and was used to embellish everything from clothing and table linens to religious garments and royal attire. The small lace museum is worth a visit, and many of the shops in the main square offer the opportunity to pick up some lace souvenirs. As you've probably realised by now, we are always peckish, so we stopped here for a quick slice of pizza before heading back to Venice for the rest of our plans. This is the narrowest street in Venice, measuring only 53 centimetres between the two buildings, and it's so narrow that it doesn't even appear in some city maps. Our next stop was Teatro Italia, which, as the name suggests, used to be a theatre but is now the most beautiful supermarket I've ever seen in my life. It's been a tradition of mine for several years now to come to this fast food vendor for a cone of fried fish, a frittura di pesce. Unfortunately, it's another one of those places that's become a victim of its own success, so I'm afraid I can't recommend it anymore. But on the way back, I did bump into this woman who was carrying her pet bunny around dressed as a reindeer, which I wouldn't have done if I hadn't stopped there, so it was meant to be. St Mark's Basilica is a stunning example of Byzantine architecture, known for its intricate mosaics, golden interiors and impressive domes. I do recommend that you book your tickets online in advance so that you can skip the queues. Next we headed to the famous Florian Cafe for a hot chocolate before heading back to the hotel to change for dinner. The interiors are absolutely stunning and super cozy, so I'd say the elevated prices are worth it to just go once in your lifetime. We are just about to head out for our New Year's Eve plans. As you can see, I've gone extremely sparkly and very heavy. I think this dress weighs about 3 kilos. Anyway, we'll see how long that lasts. We didn't really feel like doing a sit-down 10-course meal like we did last year, so instead we're going to do a tour of the little bars they have here called baccari, where you have a glass of something and then some nibbles called cicchetti. So we're going to go around a few of those that we've seen that are best reviewed, and then we're going to head to the waterfront to see the fireworks.